Hi everyone, and welcome back to your weekly installment of a new year into 2024 of the hottest selling cards in Magic. Now this week it's from January 1st to the 6th, and you are going to see some surprising entries and a real move towards standard. So let's sit back and relax as we take a look at the hottest selling cards this week in Magic. Welcome back everyone, MTG Moxman here, starting out at number 10 with Echoing Deeps. Now this is a land cave, and of course with the move toward standard becoming a reality, we are seeing higher sales volumes as we go through our weekly updates. You can see here that this card is only $1 on average, but the total sales volume means it came out to $2,384. Now we're not going with the highest selling cards in Magic because something like the Roaming Throne would overtake it even if it only had 400 sales. The real difference here is the volume of sales will tell you what players are buying and where they are spending your money. This land that comes into a copy of another land card in a graveyard is pretty epic when you think about all the cards you could be copying. And of course, it doesn't just have to be standard. This could be anything into any format that allows this card to be played. We're talking vintage, legacy, standard, commander, wherever this card could be found there. It's kind of a nice idea. Now, number 9 this week is the Deepest Betrayal. You notice I skipped that first word because I'm not going to pronounce that name. And of course, flips into the Temple of the Dead. Now, this thing started out like $20+. It's totally plummeted down to less than $5, but of course it's been a while since its release. Players have of course been trying this card out, but that doesn't mean it didn't have decent sales volumes. 2,590 sales, or $10,000, 100 and change. That's a lot of money being put into this card, and of course it does have uses. It is going to be a card that is going to be played. A lot of the God cards from the Lost Caverns of Ixalan have been making play in Arena. I have seen them at my local LGS in standard matches. This is becoming cards players want to utilize, but they're not commanding a high dollar amount just because there's so much removal nowadays. There's so many ways of delaying these cards' effects that's just the way the cards like this get played nowadays. Now let's take a look at the number 8 position this week, and it is from the Wilds of Eldraine, Not Dead After All. Now this card is only a 69-cent card, but it has been on the list 1 or 2 times in the past, and now we're seeing it resurgence again due to the fact that standard is coming around, is being played more often, and players are seeking out play sets of 4. Now, this card had 2,640 sales, or $1,821 in sales volume. A reminder that this card is an instant, guys, for 1 black that says, until end of turn, target creature you control gains when this creature dies, return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control, and create the Wicked Roll token. That means any creature that gets killed or that you're sacrificing, you can bring back, and that's a pretty epic deal. As long as it's not being exiled, it's kind of insane to think that this thing can come back for only 69 cents. And that's what players are realizing. Yeah, you need some big bombs. Yeah, you need some mediocre. You need some medium. But cards like this can save your bacon. That's right. I put a bacon context in there. That's right. Now, okay. This one, of course, we are not going to be seeing in standard, but it is the Delighted Halfling. All right, of course, a modern card that is being played a lot in Commander. 2,987 sales. So what makes the card so good? Why is this thing still hanging around at $10? Well, it is a Lord of the Rings card. It is seeing play in multiple formats. Of course, it also does that nice secondary ability. Forget the colorless mana. It says add 1 mana of any color. Spend this mana only to cast legendary spells, and that spell can't be countered. Talk about adding it all up. Now, 2,987 sales. That's $32,558 plus in actual sales volumes, okay? That is insane to think that we are seeing that many sales on a card like this and that the value is just staying with the card. It's not evaporating. It didn't go down to a $3, $4 card. People recognize what this card can be used as. And again, at a card at $10 plus for a rare, I think we'll see cards like this actually get reprints sooner rather than later. Now let's go ahead and take a look at our next card, okay? We are now coming in to the Exemplar or whatever. Exemplar? Yeah, I'm sure that's how you pronounce it. Cutzil, the Malamet Exemplar. It is a Cat Warrior. 3,200 sales. $1,380. But again, just like some cards we've already seen, look what this card kind of does here. Multiple abilities, and it's a 3/3 for 3. Not a vanilla card. Your opponents can't cast spells during your turn. Great. Anything you play, they can't counter it, assuming you can get Cudzilla out there. It says whenever one or more creatures you control, each with power greater than its base power, deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card. Talk about a setup card that you can combo in. And just like the Delighted Halfling, it's making things not be countered because your opponents can't cast spells in your turn. An insane card that costs next to nothing. How about our next card, guys? This has been on the list a few times too. I'm surprised to see it here this week, but at number 5, we have the Deep Root Pilgrimage. 3,672 sales, or $6,536. It's a 1 blue, 1 generic enchantment that says, whenever one or more non-token merfolk you control become tapped, you get to create a 1/1 merfolk token with hexproof. That's kind of insane. I can see why players still buy the card, and we don't know, we can't realize the full potential of a card like this in Standard unless there's a lot of course, merfolk to use. But other set formats are going to be using this card. Merfolk and Modern, come on, of course they're going to be playing this card. I can't wait to see how this thing comes out about a year from now, to see, number one, if the price jacks up beyond that $1.78, and to see which formats, if any, that it dominates. It's going to be very interesting. Now, we're going to number 4, okay? I know you waited so long to get to the number 4 position, and that is going to be the Inner Sun, a card fresh to the list this week, saw a massive resurgence in sales. $16 is the average, but the 3,821 sales means this thing had $61,000 plus in sales volume. So what do you get for that 6-mana legendary artifact? Spells that can't be countered. Do you see the beginning of something here? And of course, at the beginning of your end step, you discover 5. Okay, guys, there's a lot going on here. I've noticed a lot of sales with things that can't be countered. We're seeing it time and time again. You've seen 3 cards here on the list that have something to do with countering, which means let's deal with blue in a very nice way. Now, for the discoverability at the end, that's kind of awesome as well, because any mana value of 5 or less, you get to cast without playing its mana cost, and you put the rest on the bottom. You get a lot of potential to engineer a deck or deck construction with a lot of things that can't be countered nowadays, and that is a very interesting game effect to see have a real resurgence here in the top 10. Let's go ahead now. Let's jump down, because we are going to check out the number 3 card, and that is Growing Rights of Itlimoc. I can't pronounce that right. Who cares? We know the Moxman can't pronounce anything. Sales of $4,635. This card did drop below the $5. I want to kind of mention that I did call that a while back just because I knew it would be open so much that I said it would go below the $5 mark. And look at the price, but look at the sales. $3.95 is your average, but the sales are $4,635 for $18,300 plus. So, legendary artifact that says, when the Growing Rights comes into the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card from them, put them into your hand, put the rest in your bottom. And of course, if you have 4 more creatures, you get to transform the Growing Rights, and then you get 1 mana for everything. It's kind of like the Gaia's Cradle type thing. Very cool card. Now, number 2 this week. Again, we talked about this last week. Cursed Totem is like totally rising up the ranks here, guys. 6,552 sales. Activated abilities of creatures can't be activated. And of course, it's a 2 generic. But that sales volume tells you everything. $54,800 in sales on the Cursed Totem. People were mentioning it on my Discord the other day as I was counting the cards. And I was like, yep, this card's going to be on the list again. I just didn't know how high it was going to get until I finished all the countings here. It is insane to think that I'm here at like 2 a.m. on a Saturday. I'm looking at this card and looking at the sales. I'm going, that is an insane amount of sales for a card like this. And of course, that has caused the price to start rising. We haven't seen that for a while, where a card of this age is actually jacking up enough sales to really hit home. But let's stop here and go to number 1. You've made it this far. Number 1 is Bitter Triumph from the Lost Caverns of Ixalan. This card's $1.92, but what does it do? Well, for 1 black, 1 generic, as an additional cost to cast this spell, discard a card or pay 3 life. Destroy target creature or planeswalker. There are decent planeswalkers being used. We have decent creatures being used. And being able to discard or pay 3 life and just be able to nuke a creature at instant speed again for 1 black, 1 generic and standard seems like a very small price to pay. 8,362 sales, or $16,000 plus. Doesn't seem like a massive amount of dollar value, but the sales volume tells you everything you need to know about what's going on in standard right now. I know the games are like 40 plus players again. A lot of the local stores, we are seeing a real push toward it, and a lot of players are taking the bait on the hook and they're playing. So that was your number one card. Now stick around because we are going to do the wrap up of today's video. Now, what do you think those sales volumes speak about what's going on in Magic the Gathering? Because in my opinion, guys, what I'm seeing happen right now is most of those cards were geared towards standard. Yeah, they can be played in other formats, but a lot of those cards are going to be played in standard decks right now. I have friends who are going back to standard events. I myself have attended a few just to see what's going on. And the good news was I wasn't recognized at all. It was great. Nobody knew who I was. It was fun to sit there and play and see what's going on. And less Franken decks, like we talked about when standard first got announced to come back. People are playing coordinated decks. I myself lost horribly to a Shieldred deck. The thing just beat the tar out of me with the bats and stuff. Oh, it was insane. But that doesn't mean that people aren't going to evolve and adapt. And the cards we're seeing selling tell me people are now coming up with counter moves to what players are preparing for in standard. But the sales were good. This is the first week into a new year when most people's wallets should be tapped out. You're getting ready to pay your credit card bills. You're finishing off the Christmas, rush of cash flow to say, I got to pay this all back now. But these sales were really high. For the start of a year, the overall sales volumes are a lot higher than I anticipated. And that's because people want to get back at doing what they love, which is playing the game of Magic the Gathering, enjoying it locally, enjoying it with friends. And that says a lot about what's going on out there. So I'm glad to see everyone's having a blast playing it. I'm glad to see that the LGSs are actually getting some secondary market sales going on. Even if it's low amounts of money, at least it's a lot of flow, which is good. Guys, thanks a lot for hanging out with me today. Thanks for being here on the channel. Of course, this is the Saturday video. Sunday we'll have the reserve list top 10, and then Sunday 6:30 Eastern Standard Time will not only be the normal, end of the month kind of thing we do for our patrons, and of course the live stream, but it's also going to be the 20K party. So it might start a little bit earlier. We have to see how it all pans out, or I might just try to cram everything in. We have a lot of openings and stuff to do for people who purchased on the channel, and it's going to be a good time. Hope you guys can all make it there. And of course, if you enjoyed today's content, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. New content every single day. We'll see you guys soon. Have an awesome day. Hey guys, a big shout out and thank you to the fantastic patrons we have here on the channel supporting the content every single day. Because of those patrons and those YouTube membership members, daily content is made possible. Thanks again, everyone. Welcome back to the Ramble Jamble. You've made it to the end, my friends. You're here. We're together. And this is the end of the video where we know after Saturday comes Sunday. Sunday is the live stream, but it's also the 20K party. We're going to have a good time. We have a lot to cram in to that short period of time. So I hope you're ready, because I don't know if I will be, but I'm going to try my darndest to get things prepared. And then, of course, you have to, the following week to try ship everything out. Whew, it's going to be a crammed one. But you know what? We're going to make things work. I'm a glass half full kind of person. How can we let people down like that? We got to try. Giving up is not really in the mentality. Who's beeping at me? You guys talking to me on the Discord right now? Is that what beeping again? Even at the end of the Ramble Jamble, the man can't turn around, turn the volume on to check the editing without a beep going off. That's okay. I'm just teasing you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Have an awesome day. Standard's back, baby. Crazy.